Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news as we're just a few weeks into the NFL season. The buzz around the Cleveland Browns is growing exponentially, not just because of how they played in Week 1, but because of the intriguing whispers about their future prospects, especially at the quarterback position. I know what many of you are thinking. It's too early to draw conclusions, but the NFL, as we all know, is a league where small shifts can lead to massive changes. And right now, there's a lot of talk about the Browns' quarterback situation, the potential markets opening up, and how this could influence not just Cleveland's season but the entire AFC North. Let's start with what we saw on the field in Week 1. Joe Flacco, stepping in as the Browns' starting quarterback, had a performance that was, well, somewhat mixed. He completed 31 of 43 passes, which is pretty solid in terms of volume, totaling 290 yards and throwing a touchdown. But of course, the stats tell only part of the story. Flacco also threw 2 interceptions, though interestingly enough, both of those picks were tipped passes that initially hit Browns receivers before landing in the hands of Cincinnati Bengals defenders. So in essence, his overall performance was decent, but those costly mistakes did contribute to the Browns' narrow 1-point defeat on that opening Sunday. Now, despite the loss, there's a silver lining. Flacco showed enough to keep the Browns in the game, and his experience is invaluable, especially in a season where the schedule includes some stiff opponents. But what's truly fascinating isn't just how Cleveland's quarterback room performed, but the ripple effects that are starting to emerge across the league, especially concerning Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback from Colorado, who's been making waves even before he's taken a single NFL snap. You see, the buzz around Sanders has been growing steadily. Even though he's currently the third-string quarterback on the Browns' depth chart, meaning he likely won't see much action in Cleveland this season, his name is increasingly being mentioned in trade rumors and potential market moves. Why? Because Shedeur Sanders was widely expected to be a first-round pick, a top-tier quarterback prospect, but surprisingly slipped to the 5th round. That's a huge fall for a player with his talent and potential, and that slip has only fueled speculation that he might be available for the right team willing to gamble on his upside. In fact, one team that's been linked to Sanders in recent discussions is the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins had a challenging Week 1, suffering a blowout loss to the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 33-8. Tua Tagovailoa, Miami's starting quarterback, had a rough outing, completing just 14 of 23 passes for 114 yards, with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Not exactly the start Dolphins fans envisioned after last season's promising performances. Tua was pulled early in that game, and the overall performance, coupled with some concerns about durability and consistency, has sparked a lot of debate. Miami's backup quarterback, Zach Wilson, who's been bouncing around the league after being the 2nd overall pick of the Jets, managed to go 5 for 8 for just 32 yards, which isn't exactly inspiring. Meanwhile, their third-string quarterback, Quinn Ewers, the 7th-round pick from Texas, is still developing. The fact is, Miami's quarterback situation is a bit murky right now, and with Tua's struggles, the idea of acquiring a young, talented quarterback like Shedeur Sanders is gaining traction. There are fans and analysts alike who believe that, given Tua's recent struggles and the Dolphins' apparent dissatisfaction, Miami might consider making a move. And that's where Sanders comes into focus. Even though he's currently 3rd on Cleveland's depth chart, behind Flacco and presumably P.J. Walker, his potential upside makes him an attractive trade target for teams looking for future stability at the position. But let's put this into perspective. Cleveland's front office isn't rushing to move Sanders, especially not during this early part of the season. As of now, Joe Flacco played well enough that the team isn't contemplating a quarterback change. Cleveland's schedule is brutal over the next few weeks, facing 5 straight playoff teams from last season between weeks 2 and 6. If Flacco struggles or gets injured during this stretch, the Browns have Gabriel waiting in the wings, who earned the number 2 spot in the preseason. However, it's unlikely Cleveland will deal Sanders before the trade deadline in early November, especially considering how raw he still is, and the fact that the team isn't desperate at the position. What makes this situation so intriguing for Browns fans is the broader context of the NFL landscape. Injuries, poor performances, and teams' desperation can often turn young quarterbacks into hot commodities faster than expected. We've seen it in previous seasons. When a team's starter falters, or if a promising rookie is sitting on the bench, other franchises start to take notice. And Sanders, despite his current third-string status, has that tantalizing combination of talent and potential that could make him a valuable asset. Now, it's worth mentioning that Cleveland's team-building approach has always been cautious, especially with quarterbacks. The Browns historically have been cautious about rushing young players and prefer to develop talent slowly. That's why, even with the buzz around Sanders, the team might keep him on the sidelines for now, focusing on the present with Flacco and Walker. But if the season takes a turn for the worse, say Flacco struggles against those playoff-caliber teams, or an injury occurs, then the Browns might have to reconsider and potentially move Sanders, especially if a team like Miami is knocking on their door. And don't forget, Cleveland itself isn't in a rush to make a big move. They're in a unique position. They have a stable veteran like Flacco who's capable of holding the fort, and Gabriel has impressed enough during the preseason to be a reliable backup. Plus, with the schedule so challenging early on, the Browns are probably more focused on getting through these games intact. Trading Sanders now would be risky, especially if they believe he has the potential to develop into their future franchise quarterback. But this isn't just about Cleveland and Miami. The NFL landscape is always shifting, and young quarterbacks like Sanders are becoming increasingly valuable commodities. As injuries pile up and teams look for fresh options, the market for a talented rookie like Sanders is bound to grow. It's a matter of time before we see more teams weighing their options, especially if their current starters underperform or get injured. Looking at the broader picture, the Browns are in a fascinating position. They've got a veteran quarterback in Flacco who can stabilize the team for now, but the long-term future might still belong to someone like Sanders, if he develops properly. Cleveland's coaching staff and front office are known for their patience and strategic planning, so they're probably not rushing to make any drastic moves. Still, they're undoubtedly aware of the market value of their young quarterback and the potential leverage it could give them down the line. And for Browns fans, this whole situation is a roller coaster. On one hand, you're excited about the season, about Flacco's efforts, and the team's chances of competing in a tough AFC. On the other, there's that ever-present hope that Sanders could someday be the guy leading Cleveland back to glory, perhaps even to a Super Bowl. The team's history has seen its highs and lows, but what's clear now is that the quarterback position remains the most talked about, most debated, and most critical aspect of their future success. So, as we watch this season unfold, keep an eye on Sanders. Even if he's not playing much now, his name keeps popping up in conversations across the league. And if injuries or struggles push him into the spotlight, we could see a major shakeup, whether in Cleveland, Miami, or elsewhere. The NFL is a league of opportunity, and young talent like Shedeur Sanders has the potential to turn the tide, both for his career and for the teams that might pursue him. In the end, what this all boils down to is a fascinating mix of talent, opportunity, and timing. Cleveland has already shown patience with its rookies, but the league's appetite for young quarterbacks is insatiable. If Sanders continues to develop, and if circumstances align, like injuries or team needs, he could very well become a hot commodity by mid-season or at the trade deadline. For now, though, the Browns are focused on winning with the options they have, but the door remains open for a future that could involve Sanders making a splash elsewhere or perhaps even in Cleveland. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Browns. Do you believe Sanders has what it takes to be the future of Cleveland? Or do you think the Browns should hold on to him and see how he develops? Whatever your thoughts, make sure to share them. This conversation is just beginning. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news. We're in this together, and the season is just getting started. Thanks for being part of this journey with us. And as always, go Browns.